I just hit the button and now we are
Live.
live.
All right.
We are watching Amazon. You are
John. Just John. See that?
just John.
Yeah, I just put John in there now.
Dang. It's gotten to that level, huh?
I'm not cold anymore.
Guess what? I just got the LinkedIn notification. It says we're live. Okay. We're watching Amazon in the new normal, which is,
Our house.
yeah, where it's about the safest place to be nowadays.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But you can't tell by other people.
Well,
they're all over the place, dude.
yeah.
I went out to get food. I was like, oh, this is any other Saturday in Atlanta.
Yeah, there's a lot of people still out.
Yeah, a lot.
But, it's not quite like at some of these beaches in New Orleans still. Like, I don't get it, but it's a whole different other show.
It's a whole other show.
All right, so we are still watching Amazon, and there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it always amazes me just how much is still going on. I mean, it amazes me how much goes on when we're not on lockdown. But even though we're kind of on lockdown, or what do they call it? Stay sheltered in place or something like that. Shelter in place.
Yeah.
Something.
Whatever.
Like that.
It's a lockdown. Just call it a damn lockdown.
It's a shelter in place. You sipping.
Okay.
See, that sounds a little nicer than shelter in place. I mean, so like almost feels like there's.
Problem. That's the problem.
know, because it makes you feel like you're under siege. I mean, maybe we are.
I'm saying that's the problem why people aren't taking it so seriously is because we're not serious about it. We need to be serious.
See, but I'm serious about it. But if you watch TV all day long, you're going to be paralyzed by it. And that's
if you watch the news all day.
I'll tell you what. And, if you watch Andrew Cuomo do his state of New York thing, you'll feel informed. You'll feel a little better, even though he's telling you some hard truths. But you feel like at least this guy seems, he's giving it to us the way we need to be getting it. All right, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
There's plenty of time for that elsewhere.
Yeah. No, let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on this week with Amazon. Do you have something you want to go with right off the top of the head?
No, I'm going to let you go.
Oh,
you reached out to me, so you have something.
No, I mean, well, there's a thing. I think I just posted it yesterday. Amazon is looking to buy another supermarket.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of these guys before? I'm trying to find it's like
no, I haven't heard of them before.
Well, somebody let's get the name up first of all. It's like a food family mart or something. I don't know. Let's see. Here we go. Come on. Oh, it's taking so long for this thing to move. All right.
Fairway.
Yeah, it's up in New York. What's it called? Fairway?
Yeah, Fairway Stores.
Have you ever heard of these guys before? Fairway?
No, not have at all. But there's only 4 of them.
But you got to figure this is leading to something here. All right, so we already know. I've heard from people of what my good buddy Paul Greenberg, that are doing a lot of shopping via online grocery shopping with Whole Foods, and that spiked. You can imagine how that spiked, but it has spiked, and he has found some issues with it. But he's found a workaround. I'm not gonna give out the goodies on that. Okay. I think it's important.
But is it still getting food from that place delivered? Is that?
Yeah, actually it is. He found a way, because there were some issues he was coming out. Like he would, at a certain time of day, he would start to fill his basket up, and he would notice that items would start leaving his basket because they were selling out.
They were selling out by the time checkout. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Or by the time he could get a scheduled delivery.
Uh-huh.
So by the time, like, he would fill out the cart, look to try to get a scheduled delivery, and between the time he could get a scheduled delivery, things would start leaving his cart. So that just shows how many people are trying to get groceries via, delivery, contactless delivery. I love that term. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. Contactless delivery. That's another one of those terms that we had better get used to, just along with social distancing. Contactless delivery. All right. Anyway, so that shows you how many people are now turning to getting their groceries in a way that they hadn't even thought about doing before. But this virus situation is rapidly changing behaviors, and I think this is part of the reason why Amazon is buying this new grocery. They have to figure out ways to increase their
capabilities
for
storage,
being able to get these foods.
No, for storage, simply for storage.
That's part of the, but that's part of the equation too. It's not.
No, that is the equation.
Simply for.
There's no reason. Look,
I would say simply for storage.
No, there's no other reason they're looking to buy 4 little grocery stores we've never heard of on the skirts of New York, New Jersey, other than they need somewhere to store and get food faster.
Well,
people in that area that's on lockdown. It's so transparent. I don't know.
It's not. I don't think it's just for storage. I think it's the whole chain of events, from storage to fulfillment, from getting the food in the right places to get it to people quickly in that last mile. I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think this is it's almost sort of like how they did overall. How do they determine fulfillment centers? Just generally speaking, they figure out where the demand is coming, what kind of items that are coming from that area, and they start looking to strategically place fulfillment centers so that they can get those items to the right people at the right time. So you're seeing this play out in real time with food distribution. This, I don't want to say this is well, how do I say this? This is a bad situation. And what I think is happening is, in the long run, they are answering this bad situation in a way that's going to have long-term consequences. How about that?
Okay, I just don't see these 4 stores changing the shape of Amazon long term. I just don't.
Not just the 4 stores, but I think it's, how they do the fail fast and go thing. To me, this is like a test, a little test.
Okay.
Now, depending on how this test goes, I could see, you have your cashierless stuff, you have your Amazon Go kind of stuff, you have potentially, buying old retailers or supermarkets because, hey, I'm sure they're pretty cheap comparatively speaking right now. And so you add all of those things up, and I think once we get to the other side of this, they probably will have some sort of a pretty decent comfort level about how to proceed going forward that will expand way beyond buying a little regional supermarket. This may be one of the templates they're starting to create based off of what's going on in New York.
Could be. I mean, I'm just saying they already bought up Whole Foods, which is a whole nationwide chain. Buying these 4 stores, to me, it's like, hey, we just need a couple more things in New York. Let's grab these real quick. They're on sale, and see if we can add 20,000 square feet to our, or whatever square feet to our footprint.
I see it a little bit more involved, because I don't think, from what I've seen, Fairway is not an upscale kind of place like a Whole Foods.
Exactly.
And that's not part of just, we're buying more like Whole Foods. I'm saying these are the staples that they're talking about. When people are running to the store going crazy for toilet paper and bread and milk, that's not a Whole Foods thing. That's the masses thing. And I think if they're looking at how they could potentially get to the masses in a much more efficient way, that's a totally different proposition than what they were doing Whole Foods for. To me, this is more of a staples. This is more of a meeting at Main Street. And so getting using this New York situation as a way to kind of see how they can grow it, I think is a little different and probably or potentially a little bit more significant either than the Whole Foods thing is, because Whole Foods to me was a premium experience that they could add on top of Amazon Prime, which would meet a portion of the audience, an upscale portion of the audience. This to me is the meat and potatoes, and where when things go wrong, who could we turn to still? Amazon wants that to be them. So if they're able to find the right, like if they started buying Winn-Dixies or Piggly Wigglies down here, that's definitely not the same as buying Whole Foods. There's a reason
that's what they're doing. They're buying Winn-Dixie.
Well, there you go. Once again, that's not a premium user thing.
And actually, Winn-Dixie would be bigger.
If they bought Kroger's, that would be huge.
Right. That's what I'm okay. But anyway, we'll just agree to disagree on this.
I don't even know why how we're agreeing or disagreeing. It seems like we're kind of agreeing because
all I see it's like, look, we need something real quick. Here it is. And I think you're thinking this is some master strategy that was going on prior to maybe this. And I don't think so. I think
I don't know if it's I don't know if that's what I'm thinking. It could turn into something bigger because they're trying to answer immediate need, but they're trying to answer an immediate need for a large group of people, not people that just shop at Whole Foods. This is like the meat and potatoes kind of folks. That's what it looks like to me. And
to me, it also seems like they've turned a lot of Whole Foods into meat and potato. So instead of elevating everything grocery to the Whole Foods level, to me, they've reduced Whole Foods a little bit to the meat and potato crowd. But, I think that's kind of like what the Whole Foods founders and Amazon probably had parting of ways over.
Maybe, but I think it's because in this kind of situation, it's not just, people that are, not just the premium shoppers are wanting to have their groceries. This is everybody that is in need of it at this point. So maybe before this, it was a nice to have, it was a luxury kind of thing, but we're in the midst of this pandemic. And what I'm thinking is people are finding out, no, this is not a nice, we need it. Elderly folks, they need to have these groceries brought to them, as opposed to maybe, a couple of months ago, they weren't thinking they would ever need that. Right. But now it's becoming a need.
They need more places with staple food.
They need it more places with staple food, but they need it delivered to them in a contactless free environment. And I think that's what
so let's go into that.
All right.
Because that's kind of my next story.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the coronavirus strikes at Amazon operational heart, its delivery machine. So 5 warehouse workers in Europe contracted COVID-19, while in the US, Amazon's struggling to hire enough people to meet their order spike. So it's kind of interesting to me, and the way I'm looking at Amazon is like the heart of Amazon is people, and people are being limited by COVID-19 scenarios in general. I think that's a problem.
I think, well, of course, yeah, it's a huge problem, but it's a problem that we're seeing across the board with people like in the medical, industry, the healthcare industry, running shortages of everything. It seems, resources and people and devices, and it's affecting Amazon too. But it's affecting it because everybody's in need of things, and now we're in need of things in a way that we've never been in need of before, meaning we need to have it brought to us. I mean, when was the last time in America that a situation came about where people are being told to stay home and not go to work, that, potentially the 2 or 3 weeks before, it wasn't the economy that was cutting these jobs. It's a natural, I guess pandemic is the best way to put it.
It's a pandemic. Yeah.
It's a pandemic. So people are being told not to go to work.
But you're not being told not to go to the grocery store. You can go to the grocery store. And I think that is the problem with Amazon right now, is that people would rather go to the grocery store than order online.
Well, I think people are used to going to the grocery store. They never thought about having the order online for food before. But now people are getting that, are starting to get the experience of doing that.
You can't do it.
Yeah, no, you can. You can do it. People are doing it.
Brent, seriously, let me just put it like this. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
If everybody stopped driving cars and decided they have to use a plane to get to work, there are not enough planes. The airport could not handle enough people. We could not get enough people through TSA. The system of Amazon cannot handle everybody in New York having groceries delivered. It's impossible.
Okay, so I didn't say everybody, but I'm saying you've already seen a huge increase in it.
And they're fumbling.
That's because, I think everybody is fumbling right now because it's never been done. I mean, at the scale that we're talking about, but that's not to say 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months from now, that's going to be the case.
Dude, okay. Let me put it like this. All right. You look at the grocery store and how many people can turn in a grocery store versus how many of those drivers they would need to just deliver that much in that one single grocery store. It's impossible. You have to go pick up the groceries for us right now, or we're going to really slow down grocery delivery.
I think at this particular time, just like with this pandemic, things are going to get worse before they get better. But I think that's always the case when you have a mass change at scale that's required, that has been forced upon us basically by, the situation with the pandemic. So people are trying to figure out how to make the most of this, how to make the best of this. And before we actually get it figured out, we're in for some tough times. But eventually we will get it figured out. Things will get streamlined. Things will move a little bit better. And I think a couple of months from now, we're looking at things that are going to be a lot different. And it's definitely going to be a lot different than it was before this pandemic came about, because we're going to figure out a way to use all this technology, how we use all this infrastructure in a way that we never had to deal with before, but now we do. And when that happens, that's when significant structural changes for the long term typically come about.
It'll be interesting.
Definitely be interesting, but I definitely see it.
I'm watching like you watch.
We're all
watching. But at the same time, I'm telling you, man, I think this is definitely one of those areas where it's just not going to be all roses and glory for Amazon. And
I don't think it's going to be all roses and glory for anybody.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of, just are they going to grow into this? And it's just, I got a lot of frustrations right now. And I think part of that comes from the fact that I deal with Amazon from a seller perspective. And
I can see why you would have more. I would see how you would have more gripes or frustrations coming from Amazon from a seller perspective than from a customer. And that's why I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it mostly from a customer perspective. I can see why you would have more issues because you're looking at it from a completely different perspective.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm also looking at it from internally, what kind of chaos is going on that the external customer is not really seeing. There's breakdowns and a lot of shit going on the inside, and it just does not feel right. And I don't know what's going on. I can't talk to it, but Amazon really does not feel like those guys that we used to feel like really got their shit together. It's a little haphazard.
But is it just them, or is it everybody that you have to have that feeling about, because things are breaking down all over the place?
Yes,
but yeah, so I look
this.
at it.
How does let's look at it like this, not even from that perspective. Here's what this will be the third story for me. All right, my second story, third.
I'm glad we're keeping count. This is good.
Yeah, because we got. I'm looking at the clock. I want to watch your president soon. So
your president, huh? I heard that.
So here's the deal. We know the impact on small business. Very, very bad for small business.
Right.
Third party is 53% of Amazon's business, mostly small sellers. We've done the numbers before in terms of how many did $1 million last year, and we were like, what, 200,000 maybe? I don't
think that many did $1 million. I think they did like 100,000 or 500,000.
Yeah, something like that. So it was a very so basically a lot of Amazon is built around small business. Small businesses are really getting hammered right now, and some are not going to make it. Some are just not going to make it. How will that impact Amazon in general?
Well, I think it's going to. Whenever I think is what 68% of their business comes from third-party sellers or something like that.
Something like that.
So whenever that's the situation, that's everybody's going to take a haircut. All right, everybody's going to be affected. But I think what the winners, the survivors in this kind of situation, are the folks who can adapt and survive, or adapt and execute quickly on change. And if anything has taught us anything about Amazon, that's part of what they do. They're pretty quick to assess a situation, figure out options, execute on options. And if the options don't work quickly, they let them go quickly.
You know who it's like? It's like football. It's like football. It's like, as long as you have a great defensive line, so there are quarterbacks that just shine. They're like the best quarterback ever. Like we got, Brady, maybe he might go to a different team. And if he goes to a different team and he doesn't have that front line anymore, and he doesn't have at least 2 great receivers to throw to, is he really going to be a great quarterback? So it's like Amazon's been great in very good circumstance. This could be a change for them where they're operating, where they have to make audibles. So it's easy, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to make all of these, oh yeah, I made change and I'm disrupting myself. Well, when you're only disrupting yourself. But what about when you have a disruptor? Who's disrupted Amazon before?
Who's disrupted Amazon? Well, I mean, some of the things that come to mind is they weren't really good with the phone device thing. They weren't able, that didn't work out too hot.
I keep forgetting about the phone. They used to make us laugh every time we talk about it.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't. See, this is where I take what you say seriously, because I tend to think when Amazon does best, it's when they create a market, or they're early into a market that hasn't been fully formed yet, like the Kindle. There were ebook readers well before the Kindle, but it was a market that most people didn't know much about, and there wasn't a lot of content out there yet. And so they were able to create the Kindle before the market took hold. The market leaders weren't really evangelizing that space enough, and so they were able to come in late and still dominate the market. They couldn't come in late and dominate the phone market because there was this company called Apple that's already there, and then there were other companies that were already there, but it was because they could not dictate, and hey, we got this great read. And quite honestly, let's face it, the tablet device or the phone was not at the same level as what Apple's experience was. So Amazon, true to your point, they've been winners in creating markets or dominating immature early stage markets that didn't have a clear leader. Now, this situation is completely different. I mean, there's no way around that. But what I would say is everybody's at the same starting point in this situation.
Everybody.
Yeah. So this is it's a brand new kind of scenario. But I do think that they have enough scale and enough heft and enough.
They'll get through it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying eventually, I would say eventually they're going to get through it and be stronger eventually than they were before it. I think there are other companies. Well, I would hope. No, there's going to be some companies that you'll never hear from again. I mean, let's just be straight up.
Okay. I mean, I'm talking about just in general. So the people.
Oh, yeah. I'm not doing happy talk right now.
But yes, I got you.
You can hear that at 5:00 or a little whenever he comes on board. You'll get all the happy talk you'll want. Well, this is real talk right here. There are winners and there are going to be some serious losers. Did you just get that email from Delta?
No, I haven't been in there yet.
Yeah. You might want to check that out. Okay. I mean, we already know that they closed 70% of or they dropped 70% of their flights. They're dropping the lounge now. I mean, they're dropping.
I mean, they just need to close, bro. I mean, seriously.
So
it's just flying plane. I mean, but anyway, go ahead. So I don't want to get off.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying all of this. I think we're in for a lot of companies that are either going to fold up the tent with no hope, or there's going to be folks that are trying to hold on for whatever they can hold on to, and then there are going to be companies that have enough of the capability to hold on, try things, find out what works, put it into place, make things a little better for the short term, and then eventually make it even more better in the long term. And that takes a lot of the ability to stick and stay. And I don't know if a lot of companies have
it. What'd you do?
What?
Nothing. I was looking out the window over here. Well, not the window, my door. Somebody was standing at my door.
Oh, you want to come in?
Yeah.
You let them in.
No. I'm like, no, I'm on a call. But let's see. So Craig is out here talking. I don't know if he's on yours.
I think, do you know Craig? I don't know Craig.
But he just said Amazon announced an increase in overtime pay. Yes, they did another $2 increase, which, you have to understand that overtime pay at this point is we need somebody to stay here because our people aren't coming in.
Well, there's that. But I also, and we didn't really touch on this element of things. I think companies are really, and the bigger companies even more so. I think there are companies that are really trying to figure out how can they help or what can they do. And maybe they'll have a positive impact on the business, but I do think the primary goal is how can we help?
So here's my thing with Amazon. Okay, personally, all right. Mm-hmm. Knowing that we talked about all of those things and how much of their business is done with partnering with third-party sellers. One of the things that I just find unfortunate and disheartening is that Amazon, to me, has not reached out to third-party sellers in a way of that mode of how can we help you? If Amazon wants to help, start at home. There's so many people that work on your platform that are not, they don't know if this April 8th is going to work. Will we be able to send stuff back in? What about our sales right now? They're going down and you're focused in on all those things. But, there's a whole lot of people, your partners, that are hurting. And I just haven't gotten any word from them in our community about what about us, And I find that to be a missed opportunity that could be done so easily. Like you said, Delta keeps me upgraded or updated on what's going on. Yes, I'm sure it's hard that they had to close, their lounges because they can't staff them anymore, but at least they sent out a message to them. Amazon never sent any other message to us than, hey, you can't send any more stuff in. It's,
That's a little different. That's just a little different because Delta is sending that to the customers, and you're talking about sending it to the partners. I totally understand.
Yeah,
I think they should do better communication with y'all.
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. Who do they make more money off of, really?
Who talking about
Amazon? Who do they make more money off of, really? If 50 to 60% of all your sales come from third parties, yeah, and you're just taking that 15% and 30%, and I'm the guy that stocks the warehouse for you. I send all the shit in, right? So I'm a customer. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, you're a partner.
eBay.
You're not. Wait a minute. You're a partner. You're not buying it directly from. You're sending in the goods.
Their service.
You're sending in the goods.
No. Let's get it correct.
All right.
Third-party people are buying their services. If it was AWS, then I would be a customer. Why is it different when it's FBA?
All right, you're right. You're a customer. You're a customer to a certain extent, but
with a caveat.
How many Amazon Prime members are there? I mean, we're talking over 110 million. That's a bigger number than you guys.
Right, but that 100. But you know what? To hell. Let me say.
What?
No, but I want to say to hell with $125.
No,
I'm paying $125.
I'm
not that per hour.
I wasn't talking about the actual fee. I'm talking about what happens after the fee, which is people keep buying stuff because they want to get the most out of that. So the $125, that's I won't say irrelevant, but I'm just saying once somebody pays the $125, then they are on a mission to keep buying stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm just telling you, their mission is not as hustle as my mission is to find more shit to send to FBA.
Right. You're on a mission to sell
I have a way more vested interest in the success of Amazon than a person that has a Prime membership.
Well,
and as such, I would believe that the CEO and the leadership of the company needs to take just a moment to sit back and recognize at this moment that we are their customer too.
I agree with you on that. I think they have to think of the end user first, but I do think that they should be thinking about you guys as well. Because
and it's so easy.
And you are partners.
It's so easy, bro.
I agree.
Just send a letter out to the people.
But
so they're not pulling their head out.
Maybe they should have, in that letter that y'all got, they should have really made the case of why they needed to do that. And maybe they didn't make a great case in that email.
I think we all got the case. I think we got that.
Yeah, but you got it because you inherently knew it. But wouldn't it have been better if they had said, hey, we're in tough times. We want to do what's right for.
So let's go. Let's let the rabbit hole go even deeper for you.
All right, go ahead.
Right. So Amazon also has a lending system inside of their platform for third-party sellers to acquire more inventory. So as you're growing your business, sometimes you need capital to invest so that you can get that inventory completed, sent into their warehouses, and then over a protracted period of time, 3 to 6 months, you're able to pay that back, and they take those drafts out of your income before they pay you. All right. Now, I've never taken a loan out with them, so I don't know the entire process, but I'm pretty familiar with everybody does these sort of little loans like PayPal does them. Cabbage does them. We know what they are. The deal is now you've got people that are, so basically they've slowed those people's ability to send that inventory in, that they borrow the money to purchase the inventory.
Right.
Yet they haven't done anything to slow the payments. So they're still taking full payment while they have also at the same time reduced your ability
To pay
pay
back, to earn the money to pay back. That's
no words from them about that.
Well, you know what? I think you will hear something eventually. Just like we're sitting here waiting for the federal government to come up with a package.
Oh, and Craig has a good point too. He says, those loans are secured with the inventory, and they have that inventory. So even if I wanted to get the loan paid off by selling it maybe some other way, I can't even get it because it's stuck in his warehouse.
Well, the good thing is you won't be putting any more in the warehouse. Let go. So
there's so many layers to this nonsense, man.
I want to see if we can introduce somebody into this because I'm looking. We got a lot of comments on the LinkedIn side, and a number of them are from a gentleman that I have not talked to in about a decade, maybe longer than that actually. Who I met when he was working at the Minority Business Development Agency. That's a government agency, small business, minority business development. Mr. Carlos Guzman. Man, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he has a lot to say, and I think it'd be worth letting him come and join us and maybe express a couple of things here.
We didn't gone down the rabbit hole now, so might as well.
Well, this is still business related.
I'm saying it's better than the president. So I can hang out now.
Believe me, we already knew that was going to be the case. So, Mr. Guzman, I am going to send you a link that will let you join us. And I'm sending it right now. So I hope you're still there. Let's see. And I hope
while you do that, let me see what else, because Craig's going.
He's going in?
No, not really. I just want to check back because he said a couple of things while we were talking. All
right, I just said that. So I'll see if he can join us because he was really a great friend to me as I was kind of getting my hands around how CRM could help minority businesses back in the day, and enjoyed talking with him. So if he can join us, I will bring him in. Cool. And we'll do that. So yeah, Craig is going to work here.
He is working, but he said marketing is a process. Amazon is a disruptive. The other players don't sit still. Walmart and even Publix are, stepping up to the game. And I mean, yes, everybody's stepping up because the demand and the supply is ridiculous. Although that will ebb shortly.
Well, remember, I think not only do the individual companies should try to, step it up, but I'm still waiting to see when that they're really serious. It's when, the team of rivals thing comes in, and because one company has capacity, other company has capacity, but when you bring them together, the synergies, that's when you really have, okay, I see Mr. Guzman. Let me bring him into the conversation. Mr. Guzman, it's been so long. Good to see you. That they're really serious.
I've been trying to get through.
The team of rivals thing.
He's got to
one company has capacity, the other company has capacity. But
you want to mute your video.
Synergies. I'm going to mute you for a second. What we need you to do is close the LinkedIn page because now you're in with us, so you can hear everything and see everything. Let me give you on mute now. The team of rivals. Yeah, you're if you close down the page that you have open for LinkedIn, that'll take because there's a little bit of a latency, so we can hear ourselves from about 20 seconds ago. Let's see if he's got it off now. See everything.
Close the LinkedIn page.
Let me give you on mute now. Okay. The page that has on your browser, you have LinkedIn open. You just want to close that page, close that tab. We might, let's see.
Closed everything, I think. Yeah.
Okay, there you are. Good to see you.
I've been going crazy and I'm trying to figure out. Then I finally see that I'm only connected by sending you messages.
Right.
But I'm sitting here thinking, how do I connect right in?
So, Mr. Guzman, tell everybody who you are and what your background is.
Well, first of all, let me apologize that I'm retired, so my outfits show that I'm retired. Okay, but I retired from the federal government about 8 years ago. But the one thing that I learned is it was the biggest mistake I ever made. Instead of leaving MBDA, I should have transferred, let's say, to SBA, for example, just to do something different, because I was a 15.9, and you know what a 15.9 salary is. I won't mention it now, but it's not about the issue, of money. It's about the issue of keeping engaged. One of the problems as you get older, okay, is you begin to realize, and I'm sorry for the ladies who are listening in, but one of the first things that you realize, I'm married 48 years. But when I first got married, we'd see each other. She's working. I had a career. We're working. We see each other maybe 3 hours a day. Now it's 24 hours a day. And when you're not ready for that, it puts strains on your marriage. And I at least throw that word out as a caution for those who are thinking about retirement, to at least get ready for that piece, which I was not ready for. But
we're already there, bro. I've been there for like a week.
But anyway, so I just a quick little background. So I was born in Puerto Rico and grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I've got a degree in finance from New York University. I spent 23 years as a commercial banker for Citicorp, Citibank, and I got to DC because I was promoted to run 8 commercial bank branches in DC. That's how I got here, and from there I eventually got recruited. Thanks to Kwame Brown, who we all know well. Unfortunately, he had a tough time there. But thanks to Kwame Brown, I got recruited to become the Midwest director for MBDA. While I was working for MBDA, the director at the time was Ron Langston. When he first came to talk to me, he basically told me, put away the planning book you have and everything. He says, how would you like to go back from Chicago to Virginia, to my home? I lived in Virginia, so I was commuting to Chicago. And I closed the book and threw it out, and I said, I'm ready. When do I go? So I gave up the position of the Midwest director, and I became the National Senior Business Development for MBDA. And I was one of the first guys that helped create the Federal Procurement Center that I think now is in Maryland somewhere. But I love the Federal Procurement Center. One of the points that I wanted to have happen was one of the problems that I left, okay? Because I felt that the MBDA should not give the center a goal, the same goal as they give all the 40 centers they had, all the other, because then they'll be competitors. What they should do is their goal is, how many centers did you help today? Not how many contracts did you help get today, because now you're competing, and that's been an ongoing problem with MBDA. And if I was in charge, I would just get rid of that little simple thing and say, you're not competing, you're helping. And
so how do you see Amazon treating these small businesses in this current situation?
Well, I'm glad you got to that, because the reason I was getting excited is you were talking about Amazon and why they bought I'll call it the grocery store, because I always forget the actual name of the company, but they bought a grocery store. Now, why did they buy the grocery store? Now, there's plenty of reasons. One, obviously, to get to the grocery store business. But in this day and age, the game is data. And so one of the possible things, I'm not saying I know, but I'm saying one of the possible reasons is that they look at their database, they look at their own database, and the question that you have in a merger or in buying a company is, how does your database compare to my database? The more your database is different than mine, the larger I get. So I'm buying a database Okay, so I could immediately lower the prices, okay, on the store, and to get more business. Okay, so that's a good reason to do a merger, or a good reason to actually, buy out the company, which is what they did. Okay, sometimes that's easier and better and cheaper, but in the long run, and if they haven't been thinking that way, then that's what they should be. Okay, the other reason is that obviously you want to grow, okay, and you want to test the whole issues of monopolies. Monopoly, you're not supposed to have a monopoly and all this stuff. But Amazon and others like them are testing that. They're getting into newer and newer things and beginning to monopolize until the law finally can come back and say, no, you can't do that anymore. So one of the things, if I was Amazon, that I'd be doing is I would be creating the small businesses. I would become SBA. I mentioned one of the things. I would become like SBA. I would do all the things that SBA does, educate them, set up like an 8A program, the equivalent of an 8A program. I would become SBA if I was Amazon. That's what they have to do. The other thing is that they have to take advantage of what their real strength is. Their real strength in the community is they create jobs. It's not us that create jobs. They create the jobs. So what they should do is move, instead of moving into one large space, they should move into a lot of smaller spaces, maybe into the neighborhood, into the hood. Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, By the way, I grew up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I couldn't wait to get out of all the gangs and all the problems in Brooklyn back in my time frame. Now I can't afford to get back into okay. So anyway, my point is that there's a lot of reasons why they could have done it, and we may be almost wasting our time. Other than what I like the idea is that we need to talk to them. We got to come to them, maybe with the $1 billion roundtable. Maybe that's how we come to them, okay? But we have to get to them. Maybe it's through a congressional leader or congressman.
Them who? Wait, them who?
You're talking about getting to Amazon, right?
Amazon, yeah, to Amazon.
Yeah. The problem. Here's the problem, and I was good before you came on. I was going to say the exact same thing to Brent. Is that the reason why? In order for them to have that team united, you have to have a coach. You can't have a team without a coach. And right now, we don't have a good coach. So that's the missing piece.
Yeah, but
the team.
We don't control that. So let's focus on things that we control. We don't control whether we can push it. I'm not going to say who you're talking about, but but my sense is I think I know who you're talking about. Look at my hair. I think I know who you're talking about, and I assume that we have no control over that. Okay, we will have at the voting booth, but right now, right this moment, right today, I don't. But we do have people who can go to the $1 billion roundtable and help us. We have other ways of getting to Amazon, but we have to speak to Amazon. And I'd be happy to.
Does John, do you know of a committee, a small business, Amazon small business group that?
That's a great idea. You create your own organization, the Amazon Advisory Committee.
Is there anything like that? It seems like there should be with how many sellers there are on there.
The problem is
companies.
There's way too much. Everybody's scared. Amazon has a lot of power. They can shut your business down, and so people are very scared. There's no real organization. No, absolutely not.
Let me continue on where I was heading. Okay, a lot of the successful small to mid-sized businesses have what's called advisory boards. Some of them are paid, some of them are non-paid, depending on how big the company is. But we should try to get Amazon to create an advisory board of people from the community. They may or may not do it. But if you don't ask, you know you're not doing it. But if you ask, you at least begin to start with the situation saying, hey, the communities especially the minority communities, especially the small and mid-sized business, especially women business. They're all trying to grow. You, Amazon, are in a position to help. You can do more, with all due respects to the federal government, than what some SBA and MBDA and all these other guys are doing. You could do more because you have the resources. Okay, and I know, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm very familiar with the minority business and the issues that they have. I'm sorry that I couldn't help more than I did, but I did my best given the constraints that are given to you. I will tell you that I felt very comfortable. They asked me, MBDA had asked me to take a leadership position. And I said, I don't want that. I want to be one-on-one, talking to businesses. Okay? If you put me in leadership, then I got to supervise, then I got to spend my time supervising and writing memos and going to more meetings. I want to meet. So, for example, I will tell you with all God's honest truth that if you talk to Tony Jimenez, whose company is about $600 million now, he will tell you that I was helping him, okay, as a minority business, okay. He will also tell you that I linked him up with a $3 billion company, okay, the largest Hispanic business in the United States, which I still think it is, okay, $3 billion company with Tony Jimenez. That was incredible, but. And of course, I only get paid by the government. I don't get paid by the but I wish I did. I probably wouldn't be talking to you now. I'd be not in Puerto Rico. Too many earthquakes. I'm sorry. I was born there, but my point is that there's ways to attack this, and you've got to add structure to it first, okay? And that structure to me is potentially an advisory committee. And I'm not looking for me. I'm not looking. I am looking for a job. You know that I am actually interviewing again because I want to get back in. I won't go back to that conversation. Right. My wife will kill me. But anyway, the point is that I really believe that the timing is right for me to get back into business. Okay, this whole world of virtual is big. How much do you know, for example, about virtual business matchmaking?
I mean, a pretty good amount. I mean, I don't know. What do you mean?
Tell me.
Finding other digital businesses that can work together.
Okay. Well, let me give you a hint. Now, I don't get paid by this company, but I will give you the website. mybusinessmatches.com. If you haven't heard of it, you will hear of it one day. Okay. mybusinessmatches.com, okay, has 1.2 million users. They've done business in 100 countries. They may be, I don't know for sure, but they may be the world's best business matchmaking globally. They also have a contract with DOD, the Department of Homeland Security, the VA, MBDA, and sometimes with some of the SBDC centers. What we're trying to capture is all of SBA. So just to give you an example, my sense is that most of what there's 1,000 SBDCs, and I would argue that there's a high percentage of their time is spent just trying to do the match. And that everybody, including all chambers of commerce, if you join a chamber of commerce, one of the things that you're looking for is a contract. You're looking for them to help you get a contract. Okay, so it's about matching. And many chambers fail because they focus in on the relationships between the sponsors instead of using the relationships within the sponsors to do matchmaking. To do match. They can do it manually better because they're closer to them. They're right there. Okay. But
hey, Mr. Goodman,
yeah,
we're gonna have to move on because we focus this on really right around Amazon. But I just wanted to bring you in and hear some of the words of wisdom, and I really appreciate all that you said. There were some really good nuggets in there. So thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Okay, so I apologize, but when you're retired, you got nothing else to do,
Thanks again. No, we appreciate it. That was great. Thank you so much.
Take me away from this. Take care, Brent. It was nice talking to you again. Take care.
Take care, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
I hadn't seen him in like more than 10 years, but
Really?
yeah. Matter of fact, it's probably more closer to 15. That's
All
what
right.
he might have given his development agent. All right, but that was cool. I appreciate his input.
His insight. Absolutely.
And I'm really surprised that there isn't a small business.
No, I mean,
council.
that's something because I come from PISA, which was the Professional eBay Sellers Association.
Right.
And we ran into this, when it was an eBay organization trying to really, and really it's the same thing like you were feeling, but I like his angle where it's like there's ways for you to help. And Amazon's always about, been about doing things to help their sellers be better sellers. The organization of independent business owners needs good leadership. I mean, it really needs good leadership. It's a challenging thing because it's herding cats, straight up herding cats.
And let's face it, I mean, Amazon, there's no union for the employees in the fulfillment centers for Amazon, is there?
I'm sure they're keeping that away as much as possible.
And I'm guessing that would probably be the same kind of along the same lines as if the small businesses wanted to form some sort of a
union.
Lack of a better word, union.
Yeah.
And to have an opportunity to speak to Amazon in those numbers as opposed to as an individual. Because like you're right. I mean, many individual businesses are like, "Oh, are you kidding me? Speak up! Are you? No, there's no way." So
it is what it is for now.
But I'm glad you brought up those points, man. Around because I hadn't thought about the different things that you guys as sellers have to agree to that are going to be impacted by what's going on here.
Yep.
Like if we can't sell on the platform, how are we going to pay you back? So that's a pretty valid concern.
There you go. All right. That was enough.
And look, he still hasn't shown up.
He still hasn't shown up, but I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure there's a monkey wrench with the senator being positive.
Oh, yeah, because they're going to get a lot of questions on that.
Yeah, so I'm sure that they're having to adjust and get ready for that. So, at any rate, I'm going to go watch that.
All right,
and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we will talk soon. That was actually we went a little further than we usually do, but it was good.
All right, my brother.
All righty, we'll see you next time.
All right, peace. I'm out of here. This is your boy John Coder Ice Lawson. I did it. There you go.